Professor Kabluczenko, welcome to Spotlight. In this edition, higher education opportunities at Media City, Salford Takruri-Rizk on women in science, and a tale of two cities on the water. SEETV provided television coverage of an important conference at the Lowry. The delegates assembled to learn what impact Media City UK would have on the higher education sector from a variety of eminent speakers. Eric Huggers of BBC's Future Media and Technology gives his perspective.
Afternoon, everyone. What I thought I'd do is talk a little bit about some of the things that FMT, Future Media and Technology, has been engaged in, some of our ambitions, some of our visions for where we think things are going. I want to then take it back to how does that link to the great efforts going on right behind us, and how does FMT play into that? And then I want to finish up by talking about what our needs are for new employees that we're trying to attract, because we are absolutely interested in working with the education sector to make sure that the inflow of talent in particular areas is something that we start to take care of, because we do see some issues there. But let's get started. So basically, technology has been at the forefront of the BBC's thinking since its inception. And if you think about it, the very first employee of the BBC, Lord Reith, was actually an engineer. And not many people know that it was originally the technologists who ran the BBC, and then the content people took over. I wonder if we're at a point in time again where we can flip back the clock. Now, don't tell Mark Thompson that yet, but it is interesting to see, all kidding aside though, how much technology is starting to affect everything that we do. 61 years of R&D heritage inside the BBC with the BBC's research and development function. That group, not many people know, was responsible for some of the key innovations that drove the uptake of digital technologies, even analog technologies back in the day. But things like NICAM stereo, something we all take for granted, stereo sound, was invented by the BBC. Teletext, something we take for granted, and in fact something we'll be switching off very soon when digital switchover is complete, was invented by the BBC. DAB radio, the BBC. The recent launch of Freeview HD was made possible because the BBC's R&D group took the lead and developed a technology called DVB-T2. This is a terrestrial transmission technology that basically squeezes more bandwidth out of the existing spectrum. And the reason we had to do that was Ofcom was not willing to give us more spectrum to launch HD. So they said, if you want to launch HD, you have to do it with the allocation of spectrum that you have. So our engineers went to work, partnered with the industry, and drove something really unique, which is literally launched earlier this week and will be available in the first quarter of next year to the masses, hopefully in time for the World Cup. Any device that connects to the internet, we need people who understand how to design fantastically engaging, sexy, useful, funny user experiences. Really important, something that many people underestimate. Second, software engineers. I can't stress enough how important this is. And it's funny because I spoke at the Royal Society to a lot of policymakers and government officials that the Digital Britain report is great, that it tries to deal with the plumbing. It tries to build fast pipes, and I question whether it's ambitious enough, but let's put that to one side for now. But what it doesn't do is, it doesn't say, once you have those pipes, where are the skills that are going to build the services and applications to make use of those fast pipes? Because the problem with the internet is, it's global. And so if we don't build those services and applications, people in the United States, in China, in Brazil, in Russia, wherever they are, will build them and will bring them to our shores in a heartbeat. It's just one click away. One click away, that's it. And so I think the country needs to invest in software engineering. The people that I'm mostly interested in are people who understand Linux, people who understand Apache, people who understand MySQL, people who understand PHP, Java. Those are the sorts of skills that I'm really, really looking after. Hardcore engineers. The more the better. Bring them on, I say. It's what we need. And I think for me, these engineers are as important and as creative as our editorial talent is. So they're not the guys in the white coat with the screwdriver in the basement. These are just as creative as editorial talent. Last but not least, a really, really, really important job discipline as well, product managers. As we move away from a world where we simply publish stuff and forget about it, and as we move towards a much more product-centric world where online products are things that are alive, that get updated, that you constantly develop on and invest in, product management is going to be key. These are people who are, in my view, the CEOs of the product. They are there from the inception of the product, the concept of it, all the way through the life cycle to the point where you sunset the product and you kill it, and the next thing comes up. These are the people that make sure that all the stakeholders, internal, external, get heard. These are the folks that create the roadmaps. These are the folks that keep the project on track. They're hard to find. They're really hard to find. And I'm afraid that right now, I am forced to look abroad for these skill sets. I'm looking in the States, I'm looking in central, in mainland Europe. And these people are simply difficult to come by. So, next steps. North Recruitment website opens January 2010. Is that right, Richard? Yep. Recruitment begins June 2010. So we have lots and lots of folks that we would like to bring on board here, ideally in the skill sets that we mentioned. Now, there's one group that I didn't mention that I do think is very important, and this is just good old-fashioned general management. I mean, folks that understand Management 101, who can run large groups, large divisions, large teams of talent and manage them well. I think that will always be important and is something we're always going to be looking for. And obviously, bbc.co.uk/jobs is where you'll find much more information. Anyway, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Haifa Takruri-Rizk is a tireless campaigner to encourage more young people, and more women in particular, to take up science careers. She came into the studio to tell us what the problems are and how she feels we could try to solve them.
I think the current image of the current generation, in a way, they look for something what you call cool. They don't think that engineering, as they understand it, is a cool career to go for. It's more of a geeky thing. It's more of not that what they really find exciting and enjoyable, probably. In a way, I was shocked in one way to find that this perception is in the UK. I come from the Middle East, and science, engineering, especially engineering, is a highly valued. It's a very prestigious career you can go for if you're a boy or a girl. If you go for engineering, you must be really, really successful and clever and intelligent. The top career you can go for is medicine in the Middle East. The second is engineering, and that as well showed into the number of years you have to study at university. So you study for 7 years if you're doing medicine, you study for 5 years if you're doing engineering, 4 years if you're doing anything else. So that hierarchy of studies shows the importance of these careers, and it is very respected and valued career, which I couldn't find here in the UK. It's looked at in a way, if you hear about an engineer, it's the guy who comes to your house and fixes your dishwasher, washing machine, or looks at your central heating. I think there needs to be some change of how teachers teach, as well as certain expressions I've heard, like, oh, you don't have to like maths. One of the teachers at my girls' schools, who is a physicist, got a PhD in physics, came into the class and told them, I'm a physicist, but I never liked it. And he's coming to teach these kids physics. How are they gonna, they're teenagers and they're very much affected of their opinions in a way, of the teachers' opinions and the parents' opinions, and especially the peer pressure as well. So you need to be careful of what you say, so you won't drive them away from physics or maths, and make them like these subjects in one way or the other, relate these subjects to their daily lives. Why do they need physics? What does it make them understand? Why do they need maths in a way? In their daily life, never mind taking physics or maths as a career in a way for further studies and higher education and so on.
On behalf of the Institute for Materials Research and FEMA, I present for the award of Joint Doctor of Philosophy, Amy Sarah Gandhi.
Science and engineering is an unusual choice for young women in the UK especially, and as mentioned before, it's about the stereotyping of what careers girls can choose, what boys can choose, and the image, the sort of old-fashioned image of what engineering and science is, and we need more awareness of the varied types of careers that young people can go for. And I think there is something I've not really mentioned throughout, which is the media, the influence of the media, the influence of the soaps and on TV programs and radio programs and so on. Okay, the society somehow managed to change the image of being a doctor, and there are so many girls now becoming doctors. And look on the different soaps and programs on the TV that give an image of girls and women being doctors and doing such careers, and that, I think, influenced young people, especially women, into going into medicine. Take, for example, forensic science, because there are a couple of programs and soaps on TV about forensic science, and there are women forensic scientists. Now forensic science is quite fashionable to go for, and there are many girls are doing such studies. And I think we need a positive image of female engineers in soaps. They can do such a career, they can balance their lives. It's not that hard job to do. It is an interesting and enjoyable job. So I think the media, as well as the overall society, from childhood, schools, careers, higher education, the industry as well, we need to address all these stages to make it more effective. And when we do the hard work to get more girls into engineering and sciences, we want them to stay in the industry, because many of the girls who do go industry find it a bit more, okay, a man world that they can't live in somehow, and they leave. So we want them to do the studies and carry on in their careers as well and stay there. I think we can change a lot, and that's many of the things, the projects we're involved with, like the So What Do Engineers Do, like the Insight program, like when I go out to schools, and I especially target girls' schools to talk to them about what I do. And one of the questions they say, do you enjoy your job? I say yes. Is it boring? I say no, it's not boring, I enjoy it, and the most thing about it, it's varied, it's exciting. Every day I do something different. There is no, in a way, oh, I'm going to do the same thing again. And because we're dealing with engineering and dealing with technology, it's always moving on. It's always, there is something new you need to learn. So that makes it more challenging, more exciting, more interesting. So we need to tell young people about all this information about the different types of things they can do. And okay, it's not a boring job. It's not like a routine thing. You get to do so many things. You get to travel. You get to meet lots of new people, interesting people. And it's just exciting. Directors and human resources people. I think it simply stopped the stereotyping at young age. So tell boys and girls you can do anything. Okay, so girls won't grow up when they're 8, 9 years old saying I want to be a hairdresser or a nurse, and boys have to go into the army and so. So if we don't have the stereotyping, if we don't have the teaching methods that are, or the expressions like don't like maths, don't like physics, don't go into such uncool careers, I think we would solve the problem.
On a chilly day in May, the two universities of Salford and Manchester held the annual boat race, but it wasn't all about winning.
We're down here at Salford Quays. We're on the Manchester Ship Canal, which is a sort of real historic heart of Salford and Manchester, so there's a lot of significance in that.
The location for the event down here at Salford Quays I think is great, but it was better last year when the skies were blue and it wasn't so darn cold. But as a location it's excellent, and of course within a year or two part of the Salford University campus will be down here just across the way in Media City.
I think it's a really good location for this event. I think this is really in the spirit of the interaction between the two universities. It's become a real tradition. I think this is the 39th year, and you know, we'll have another 39 years of it.
I think the boat race is really important because it enables you to get a real team spirit going, and you know, ultimately, although we started off slightly chaotic, by the end of the semi-final I think we were working in a very synchronised way as a team, and that's what we need to do in life in general and in work in general.
What's really important about it is it gives us an opportunity to engage with Manchester University, so it's really the interaction that's more important than the result.
We are the SEE Dragons, and we're the team from the Faculty of Science, Engineering and Environment, and we lost to Salford City Reds, a bunch of very fit young rugby players, by I think about maybe a foot at most. And we weren't all fit young rugby players. There were a couple of old codgers like me, but I think we did pretty well actually.
Takruri-Rizk was telling us earlier about the campaign to get more women into science. Well, the Dragonfly programme is an initiative which seeks to do just this. Here's a short film which explains it.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is to make the girls more aware of the different types of engineering and engineers and what engineers really do. Because what you find is that their ideas are quite narrow in terms of engineers. Many of them just think about mechanical engineers or mechanics, as it were, as the main form of engineering or the only form of engineering. So I hope they'll be more aware of the whole range of different areas of engineering and types of engineering, and more aware of what engineers actually do as part of their job. You know, because often they have this idea that an engineer uses a spanner and oily rag, you know, and I think they'll find out that the folks that are here probably never do that sort of thing. That the main tool for them is a computer. So I hope that they'll do that, and also I hope that they'll be able to think through problems more systematically. So the last activity that we're doing with them is getting them to think about a possible scenario and look at the positives, the negatives, and the interesting aspects of that scenario. So it'll help them maybe when they're presented with a problem in the future, rather than jumping headlong into it, that they first of all think about, you know, what is the problem, what are the positive aspects, the negatives, and the interesting aspects before they start thinking about solutions.
Yeah, I mean, you're just basically looking at science at advanced level and getting a taste of what it's like. So yeah, it's really fun doing activities that you wouldn't usually do at school.
Yeah.
I think it's about giving the girls the opportunity to try engineering at university and to show really that they're just as good at the boys at engineering and science activities. I think it will just broaden girls' horizons about opportunities that they have in engineering and give them an insight into life at university.
The aim of the today has been to encourage Year 10 girls to consider engineering as a future career. The whole day is part of a bigger programme which is supported by Head Start, which is part of the Royal Academy of Engineering, which the first 4 days brought in sixth form girls to look at future careers in engineering, and today's been the Year 10s. So they've gone around a number of different activities, experiencing different types of engineering that they might be interested in, and they've also had today the opportunity to meet practicing engineers from industry and talk to those about their jobs and how they got into engineering, and to start to think creatively about some of the issues related to engineering, either social issues or whatever. Yes, the day seems to have been extremely successful. The groups that we've had have all been really keen to get involved. We've not really had to sort of poke anybody to come out and take part in the activities. They seem to have enjoyed it, and from the comments that we've had from other activity, people running the other activity sessions over lunch, they've also been very pleased, yes, so it seems to have gone extremely well.
Don't forget, you can see all of our films on the website. That's about all for this edition. I hope you will join me next time for more science and technology activity in the Spotlight.